So it's okay.
Okay, good morning, everyone.
Hi.
I could have eyes up here, please. Lana, thank you. So today we're going to recap what we did. Elijah? So we're going to recap a little bit of what we did last week, the Columbian exchange. And we're going to talk not just about the plants and animals that were exchanged, but also talking about the humans. Okay? So if we were to look at the notes we took some of these notes. Anybody remember what the Great Dying was? Looking for hands. Look for hands. Quinn.
Great. Like all the where changing things and diseases got spread and people all died.
Yes, diseases were spread. And who in particular suffered the worst? Maria? Mainly the Native Americans. Do you know why, Logan?
No, I do.
Why?
Because they were more susceptible to the diseases because they didn't live with any of them.
Yes.
But didn't they transfer like syphilis to the Europeans?
Yes, they transferred syphilis. Anything else?
They would put like the smallpox on like disease.
Right, and then disease was probably unintentional at first.
I thought the Native Americans were like the European syphilis.
Yes. Yes. So there's a difference between syphilis and smallpox. Okay, so syphilis came from the North and South America continent. But you were referring to the smallpox.
Yes.
So there's some documented evidence that later smallpox was used to intentionally infect the Native Americans by giving them blankets. Okay? So this became kind of an intentional warfare later. But whether it's intentional or not, a lot of the Native Americans ended up dying. So in terms of population trends, if North and South America, they were going down, Malia, what was going on in Europe and the rest of the world? They were not dying, so their populations were increasing. And Carson, do you remember why in particular they were increasing? Josh, you want to help out?
Because they had a lot more nutrients.
They had more nutrients, so they kind of pillaged the food. They took the potatoes, the tomatoes, and different crops, and they had a higher caloric. Beef, what was that?
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. All right, I won't. Don't worry about it. So, in summary, okay, and this is in your notes, the Columbian exchange connected formerly isolated continents and had lasting effects around the world. So our 4 world zones, when we played the game, they're all connected now. So for good or bad, they are all now one. And all these different things that were separate are being exchanged. Some of the consequences is that the world overall is generally richer. Although, and particularly the people of North and South America were not. Crops were spread around the globe, increasing caloric intake. So there was a population boom elsewhere, while disease pool was becoming more homogeneous. Okay, so those people that had not been exposed to these diseases now were. And this led to, this is what we're going to really focus on today, is inequalities. Not only in the population, but also in wealth. And we're going to look particularly, Kira, we're going to look particularly in the, we're going to spotlight the African slave trade.
It says Atlantic slave trade.
Right. So the Atlantic slave trade, or also the African slave trade. Good. Those are kind of interchangeable. We call it the African slave trade. Why, Lana? Why would we call it the African slave trade?
Because they took slaves from Africa.
Because they took slaves from Africa. And then, Adrian, why might we call it the Atlantic slave trade?
Because they sailed over the Atlantic Ocean.
Right, because they're crossing the Atlantic Ocean. Okay? Most of the slaves came from Africa, but we're going to find out today that that wasn't the only place. Okay? So does anybody know who started the slave trade, particularly African slave trade, and bringing Africans over to the Americas? Ananda.
Wasn't it actually like one of the kings in Africa that started trading slaves to like gain riches and stuff?
Yes, so you did have some African kings. Then there was one in particular, his name's escaping me, but there were some Africans who, they were rival tribes.
Wait.
Body. So there was one there's at least one tribe that if they captured them, they now had slaves, but they didn't have slavery like they had later in the Americas. But they did have slaves, and these slaves were sold at a profit, but they wouldn't have been sold if they didn't have these people. So these people really started taking the slaves from the African continent and bringing them over to the Americas. Yes?
Was it the Portuguese?
It was the Portuguese.
Wow, I'm smart.
All right? You are smart. You can read on the board there. Okay? So as early as 1519, okay? Just a generation, not even a generation, after after Columbus first landed in the Caribbean, less than a generation later already, slaves are coming over. The Portuguese started, and then it continued until when? Victoria, when did it continue to?
Really.
Yep, early 1800s. Okay? So slavery in the U.S. did not officially end until when? Elijah, do you know?
It was like, I don't know, when they said you can't be slaves anymore.
Right. And when was that, Quinn? It was Abraham Lincoln.
When was it?
And it was a major factor in the Civil War. Okay? But the slave trade itself had ended over 50 years before that, early 1800s. And when we look at this, how we know about this is that the Spanish kept very detailed records. Okay? Slaves were seen as goods. So all those plants and animals, the reason why we know these different plants and animals were being transferred is because the Spanish kept really good records. And Africans were seen as just one other good. Okay? One other commodity that was being exchanged or traded. Okay? But thanks to the records, we have a better account of the numbers and where different people were going. What was that, Elijah?
15 apples, 7 slaves, 13 horns.
Yes, yes. Okay? So we're going to look at a primary source that looks at how they were counted and also the individual perspective of an actual slave who was a part of this. Okay, so that's part of the reading today, is to not only see the statistics, what happened, but also get a sense of how it felt for someone who was being traded like this. Now this author says the business of transporting slaves across the Atlantic became a horrifying science. Okay? They were trying to make money, and what she meant by that is that the drawings of these slave ships demonstrated how slave traders were trying to pack as many people into ships as possible. Okay, so really packing them in like sardines. The trip would last 6 to 12 weeks, and they would often be in chains the whole time. Okay, a lot of people did not survive, but it was a matter of the more people we got on there, then your losses wouldn't be as great if you lost some people. Yes, so they had issues with feeding and also with needing to go to the bathroom and not being able to do that. Okay? Ultimately, what was the effect? What was the effect of all this? Kira, do you have any idea? What was the effect of this slave trade?
Everyone got rich.
Okay? Did the slaves get rich?
Well, except, no, they got rich in debt.
Okay.
Oh my God.
And it was mainly the Europeans who controlled the slave trade.
Yeah,
So it was they who got rich.
it's like they used them as farmers, and
Right.
then they got rich because they had the goods.
Right?
I know.
Good. Now, the Europeans are going to begin colonizing North and South America. So they're going to be taking the land. Why did they not just enslave the Native Americans to work their fields and stuff? Adrian.
Because they were dying.
In part because they were dying. Okay, they were not resistant to all that. Yes, Joshua.
And they probably weren't able to catch as many of them as if they were getting handed over the slaves from Africa.
That's true, yes. There wasn't a whole network of receiving slaves. So the Europeans had to both capture them and force them into labor. They also knew the land. Okay, so taking Africans to a different continent, they don't know how to survive, or where to go, or where to run to. Where are they going to go? They'd have to get back on a ship and try to get back. So with all that in mind, they controlled both the land and the labor. And that's what's going to enrich themselves. Sometimes that's called the means of production. Right? The ability,
The means.
the people to work the land, as well as the labor to work the land. Okay? So we are going to look at not just the African slave trade today, but we're going to be looking at all the different migration routes that were happening during this time. Okay, from about 1400 to 1800. This time, so it's sometimes called the age of exploration, but it's also an age of migration as these world zones are connected. So you're going to have a map here, and you're going to be drawing how these migrations happen from the old world, talking about Europe, Africa, and Asia, to the new world, North and South America. So there's going to be a handout here where you will be reading. You have the directions here, and there's just a few paragraphs, and you're going to be reading not just about how the Africans migrated, but also a few